Hello friends and welcome to the channel of Second Chances, where unwanted and discarded materials are rescued from an untimely demise, given new purpose and another shot to shine and bedazzle. This is the Cheapskate Scotsman Show, and I'm the Cheapskate Scotsman. The Cheapskate Scotsman has been working really hard lately. You see, it's my busy season at work, and I've been putting in long hours, weekends even. I'm no complaining. I'm grateful for the opportunity to make a few extra bob. But with all this overtime, I haven't been able to work on any projects. So I dug into my archives, where I've got a couple of projects that I filmed but never posted, and I dug them out. However, there was a problem. You see, when I went back to retrieve all them files, they were all mixed up and out of order. Plus, there was all sorts of footage that was missing completely. And I was going out my nut trying to make sense of this chaos. There's very few things in this world that can make the cheapskate lose his composure, and this was one of them. But then, something wonderful happened. Something that made all my frustrations just melt away. A brand new member of the Cheapskate clan came into the world, and she is an absolute wee beauty. Just look at that wee face. Mere you, so's I can pinch your wee cheeks. Alright now, let's get down to business here. You see these faux brick panels here? I discovered these in a big demolition bin a while back when I was out on one of my scavenger hunts. I stuffed as many of these panels as I could into my car. I brought them home and I stared at them, thinking of what I can do with them. And then it hit me. I'm gonna make some brick arches with these things. Now, there's loads of different types of arches out there. You've got your semicircular arches, you've got your draped arches, your Gothic arches. You've got your segmental arches and your basket arches, and then you've got the most majestic arches of all, the big man's arches. I made the decision to go with the segmental arch, because the Cheapskate Scotsman and the segmental arch have something in common. We've both got a wee bit of mental in us. Alright, so I built two arches, a wee arch and a big arch. Now, the wee arch is going to go above my kitchen window right here, and you'll see I put nailer strips on the ceiling and above the kitchen cabinets, and you'll see why I done that in a bit. So the next step was to build the skeletal structure of the arch itself, you know. So I cut that out and I tried it on for size, and it fit nicely in the spot I made for it. Alright, now all the technical boring stuff is out the way. Let's get a wee bit creative and have some fun. Alright, so I couldn't leave that styrofoam as is because it'd be all flaky and stuff, you know. So I had to figure out a way to put like a hard shell on it, a nice hard coating on it, you know. So I made up this concoction here. It's Elmer's glue and water and spackle, and then to thicken it all up I put in some thin set mortar. But really this crazy concoction was overkill. Spackle alone would have done just fine. So after painting the styrofoam a couple shades of grey, I spattered some light grey in the dark grey sections and some dark grey in the light grey sections. Then I spattered some white and some black and then some mere grey and some mere light grey and so on and so forth till it looked like a Belgian block. And for those of you watching in Belgium, it's just a block. Then I got to cutting individual bricks, loads of them, and I had to put 45-degree angles on all the edges. And slowly but surely, an arch begins to materialize right before our eyes.
Brick by brick, my citizens. Brick by brick.
Okay, that's looking pretty good. I'm happy with that wee arch. I'm just gonna fill up the seams on the mitered edges and in between the bricks with a silicone caulk. It goes on white and dries clear and it's paintable. Then I've got to trim the bricks to make them even with the plywood. You see, the back of this arch will only be visible because it's going to be above the sink, but I'm going to screw a light on the back of it so it'll shine down on a kitchen sink so as Mrs. Cheapskate can see when she's doing the dishes. Then I broke out my handy dandy wee Dremel with a sanding drum on it and I roughed up all the edges. Then I took this wire wheel that was worn into the nub to cut these bricks even. Cut right through them like butter, nae bother. Then those fresh cut edges needed to be roughed up as well. Then it was time to screw that light on the back of it and fasten it up where it belongs. And you'll see here why I had them nailer strips up on the ceiling and on the cabinets. And there's my buddy Phil McCracken. I put some paper towels in the crack to save a few bob on the silicone caulk. And there you have it, folks. One arch done and one to go. Let's get going on the begging. Hey you, 2x4. You're getting screwed right to my kitchen wall.
You're not gonna sleaze your way out of this one. Right to the wall.
Aye, that's right. And your wee buddies, they're getting screwed right to my kitchen cabinet. Nothing personal, lads, but I need to extend this wall out just a wee bit, or else my arch will be crooked. And here's where being a pack rat pays off. All my wee pieces of scrap plywood that I've been holding onto, I can finally use them to build this wall out. And if you were wondering why I cut these holes in this arch, here's why, right here, so I can get my screw gun in there and fasten this thing in place. Alright, now see here, look at that, even on that side, and we go to the other side, nice and even over there as well. Beautiful.
I love it when a plan comes together.
Alright folks, now look up in there, look closely. You see a big ugly crack that this arch will be hiding. That's something this arch and the cheapskate Scotsman's kilt have in common. Alright, now that this thing is screwed in place, we can complete the arch. We'll just get these last few bricks glued in place, and then I'll cut some panels to fit above the arch right there, and I'll screw them in place, and then we'll start working on the piers, because brick arches don't float, you know, and the piers need some pier caps, and I made these up. The technical name for these things are imposts, but I call them pier caps. In the real world, brick arches are built from the bottom up, no from the top down. But we're no in the real world. We're in the cheapskate world. Things are done differently around here. And truth be told, this arch here wouldn't survive in the real world. It may look like a real arch, and it may be just as beautiful as a real arch. But real arches aren't made for their beauty. Their beauty is just a bonus. They were made for strength, to carry heavy loads. Arches were designed to withstand and resist the powerful forces of gravity. Now, earlier in this video, I tell you about my new wee grandbaby, God love her, and I pray to the big man to keep that wee baby and her big sister healthy and strong. I also pray the big man grants strength to their wee ma, my daughter, and their da, because much like a brick arch, their parents must carry a heavy load. The weight of parenthood can be crushing at times, and much like the forces of gravity that relentlessly work to break an arch, there's many powerful forces out there that relentlessly work to break families. And some of those forces were designed specifically to do just that. So big man, please grant the strength to my wee grandbaby's ma and their da to carry this heavy load, and grant strength to all the wee ma's and dads out there, because there is no job, no task, no duty that's more crucial than parenthood. You see, if civilization was built on weak arches, there would be complete societal collapse. And the same can be said about weak families, because without strong ma's and dads, there also would be complete societal collapse.
And that's all I have to say about that.